Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today for our third episode of our 48th season of Emergency Teach-ins with three Arabs and. Our topic today is the United States becoming a shithole country? Contrary to popular thought, becoming a shithole country comes with some huge perks. Who needs to think about and spend precious resources on education, healthcare, environmental protection, creating jobs, and other laborious and inconvenient chores? The shithole concept was a paradigmatic and pediatric shift in how global policy is conducted. Trump's latest dump poses new questions we will consider rigorously and religiously, God willing. Also, who does not like resorts? Huh? Or a good cleanse? Before we start, a word of caution for today's confusing teaching. Beware of satiritis. This is a genuinely American phenomenon that arises only in America, city on a hill, when satire about what is going on is actually trumped by or superseded by the actual subject matter. In other words, the confusion emerges when reality is more satirical than its satirical representation or rendition. Yeah. The elephant in the room, in this case, is that Trump wasn't even threatening or angry or feisty. He just wants to build real estate and do what he couldn't do in an Atlantic city.
It would be a beautiful piece of land.
Would the Palestinians
no
have the
big
right
money
to return?
spent. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't.
You want the rule of law, international law, democracy, rights, morality, ethics, tolerance, gender equality, or even just decency? Huh? Well, Trump just took another piss on all of that and issued a post-moral fuck you to all this nonsense. Rejoice. Let us now move to our cultural landscape expert, Sinan Antoon. Sinan, is the United States becoming a shithole country?
Before I answer that question, Bassam, I want to say that when Trump first used the shithole countries comment, he was unfairly attacked by the mean-spirited media and those obsessing about racism, a pre-modern problem. There was a global misreading and misspelling of the concept. Shithole is spelled with a W, S-H-I-T-W-H-O-L-E. To make whole means to repair, to restore to a sound, healthy, and favorable condition. And this is what Trump wants to do in the world and in this country. This is what Trumpism is all about. Smooth evacuation and restoring regularity. It's a laxative. Trump, as we all know, likes to shit outside the box. His statement signaled that it was time to take excrement seriously and approach it in an interdisciplinary mode. Fair-minded observers and sober think tankers and TikTokers appreciated the productive potential and the paradigmatic shift that was at hand. There was even support from the scholarly community. The highly respected Metamucil Center for Excremental Progress, which used to be called the Metamucil Center for Incremental Progress, which is packed with vegan Ivy League scholars, endorsed Trump's latest dump. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Sinan. We'll now move to our cultural or media landscape expert, Adel Iskandar. Adel, what are your thoughts on whether the United States is becoming a shithole country?
Thank you so much, Bassam. Let's see. I think, first of all, we need to go back to the first presidential term, where President Trump was quoted calling Haiti, El Salvador, and African nations shithole countries. Some called it a racist remark, but he dismissed the accusation. In further proof that he didn't really mean it racially, Trump was quoted in April of last year saying that the US needed more immigrants from nice countries like white majority nations. Less than a month into his presidency, he's already denied aid to South Africa for challenging Israel at the ICJ and claimed that new land reform policies in South Africa discriminate against already privileged and wealthy white Afrikaners there, instead offering them immigration settlement in the United States. And while Elon Musk is throwing hiles and speaking at white nationalist party rallies in Germany, why are we assuming that white supremacist expressions from the administration are actually white supremacist? I think it's truly a leap of faith. What makes us think that anything remotely white supremacist could come out of the White House to begin with? I mean, it's just a place built by black slaves to house generations of white settler colonial folks who had systematically annihilated the local indigenous populations for their commercial gain. Honestly, I don't see the white supremacy everyone is harping on about. Anyhow, I digress. At this point, all that this is happening at the same time as ICE agents in the United States are detaining thousands of struggling undocumented workers across the country and ratcheting up their deportation to South American countries. In fact, did you know that the very country Trump called a shithole, El Salvador, is now a key ally ever since its president, Nayib Bukele, offered to open his country's mega prisons to all of US's deportees, irrespective of their nationality? Honestly, a truly unparalleled act of non-discriminatory goodwill to set up a Disney World of penitentiaries in El Salvador. Just like a Riviera in Gaza, we need these types of visions to propel us towards our inevitable collective toilet basin. Bassam, I want to hear from you. Do you think the United States is heading to become a shithole nation?
I have a few thoughts. If you thought Israel's genocide in Gaza is bad, think again. Thanks to President Trump, we are entering a phase of contemplative genocide laced both with ethnic cleansing and images of beautiful real estate, with an adjusted motto: relocation, relocation, relocation. Contemplative genocide and ethnic cleansing, or the very American esprit de corps, let's create a resort and kill and evict everyone, actually shocks the perpetrators of the genocide themselves, the lovely Israelis. Yeah. You don't believe it? Take a look at the face of Bibi when he heard the announcement by Trump live. A mixture of wet dream and pants, as well as angry confusion, overcame him. Wet dream because ethnic cleansing, and angry confusion because Trump actually said, we, America, will own it. Wait a minute, you're going to own it? If only Netanyahu was a dog, you'd see the explicit tilt in the response. Israel, the genocider and ethnic cleanser par excellence of the 21st century, is finally outclassed by an American. America, we always win. Sinan, what are your other thoughts, if you have any, on whether the United States is becoming a shithole country?
Thank you, Bassam. Look, President Trump's latest Trump was about Gaza, an insane cocktail of ethnic cleansing with real estate fantasies concocted by his lizard-faced son-in-law. And this had Netanyahu salivating and caused Trump's chief of staff to develop an ulcer on the spot. Trump does say a lot of excremental things. There is no doubt about it. But we have to empathize. The only explanation I can find is that he is probably a victim of the deep state. According to my sources in Washington, D.C., President Trump was subjected to a sophisticated procedure some time ago, whereby his internal organs were rerouted by a liberal doctor so that his intestines lead right back to his mouth, so it can double as an anus and become a shithole.
Adel, any other thoughts on whether the United States is becoming a shithole country?
Honestly, Bassam, I'm still recovering from Sinan's revelations. It explains a lot. I will add, though, that some of you might be wondering, now that El Salvador and Trump are cool, does that mean that the United States no longer considers El Salvador a shithole country? Not exactly. What's happening can be best explained by a scientific theorem known very among experts as, if you smelt it, you dealt it. When Trump introduced the term shithole countries into the political lexicon, he was inadvertently wading through a domestic sanitation tank. Elected on an agenda of draining a proverbial swamp, he created a literal sewage swamp instead. What I'm proposing today is that the U.S. itself is coming into its own and proudly assuming the mantle as a leader among shithole nations. Under George W. Bush, the world was divided into us versus them and coalitions of the willing. Those days of euphemisms are thankfully long gone. We can now talk freely in dichotomies, black and white, good and evil, boy and girl. And so we've now upgraded the classification to a two-tier, catchier, and smellier categories for countries of the world. They are either nice countries or shithole countries. And seriously, who wants to be nice? I say, don't judge a shithole by its smell. And don't shit on shithole countries before stool sampling your own country. Starting today, we should all become acquainted with our own shit. To this end, I have a methodologically sound research project for you to help appraise your status in this dichotomy. From LA to Pensacola and from Indianapolis to Corpus Christi, everyone should start examining how far down the shithole they are. Monitor daily whether the degree of shittiness is increasing, subsiding, or plateauing, and which direction along that rectal shaft you happen to be moving in. With the honest politicians like Trump in the White House and the right medical probes, we can finally talk the talk, walk the walk, and shit the shit. Bassam, I turn it to you. Any further remarks?
Yes, I have some remarks. And Adel, you need to upgrade your internet, Habibi.
Shithole nation. What can I do?
But you're in Canada.
You're in Canada, Allah لا يوفقك, which soon to be United States. Trump managed to accomplish a feat in the Arab world that no Arab nationalist was able to accomplish in the past 100 years. Not Jamal Abdel Nasser, not Michel Aflaq, not Salah ad-Din al-Bitar, and not even Zaki al-Arsuzi. He managed to unite the entire Arab world, even if temporarily, including Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qata'ib al-Qassam, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Mauritania. Shit, he even brought the Emiratis into the fold. Do you know how wacky you'd have to be to unite these guys against your idea, including some of your faithful worshippers and clients? Yeah. Thanks, Donald Trump. You made Albert Horani, MBS, CVS, and Abu Ubaida proud last week. As Shab Khalid said at the conclusion of Abdul Qadir, shukran, merci. Sinan, any final thoughts on whether or not the United States is becoming a shithole country?
Thanks, Bassam. Look, there's something very important. In November of last year, the Pentagon failed to pass its annual audit. It couldn't account for how $824 billion was used, which is peanuts. This was the 7th failed audit in a row. Now, President Dump is tasking Elon Musk to figure out where the waste is going. Musk is going to go in there and figure this shit out. It's like a colonoscopy or a rectal exam. And Musk caused quite a stir and a controversy during one of the inauguration balls. He seemed to be making a Nazi salute twice. But no worries, Anti-Defamation League Chief Executive Jonathan Greenblatt said he didn't think it was offensive. Quote, "I think it was an awkward gesture. I don't think it was intended to be a fascist salute." And he elaborated on the ideal statement saying, quote, "Social media can heighten people's existing fears. I understand that people are on edge. I think we all need to take a breath and step back from the ledge, if you will." So take a deep breath. And he is right. Musk was merely stretching and practicing and reaching up, practicing the rectal exam he's going to perform on Pentagon generals and those higher ups, and he's doing it on behalf of President Dump.
Adel, what are your last thoughts on whether or not the United States is becoming a shithole country?
Thank you so much, Bassam. Of course, tons of revelations today. I think it's fair to assume that the U.S. is definitely there arrived at becoming a shithole nation. But don't take my word for it. First of all, let us congratulate everyone. The wealthiest and most powerful country in the history of the world, the United States, has officially become a shithole country. Whee! And just like that, American exceptionalism is already on full display as the spokesperson for the White House, Carolyn Leavitt, didn't waste precious toilet time to flaunt this new accolade and taunt other countries that aren't shithole countries yet for being underqualified for this exceptional and incremental title. On the heels of announcing ambitious plans to turn Gaza into a Mar-a-Lago-style shithole resort, give the Panama Canal an enema, drop a continental load on Greenland, and widen the northern border sphincter to swiftly hemorrhoid into Canada, Carolyn Leavitt had these choice words to other world locales who jealously want a piece of the shit. I turn to Carolyn Leavitt. If you're the shithole country, you're the shithole country. You know you're the shithole. Be the shithole. More countries need to start knowing that they're the shithole. Everybody needs to start saying that they're the shithole. Everybody could be a shithole. Don't be mad at us because we're a shithole and you're not a shithole just yet. You're the shithole. You have the first time you find shithole mindset. Maybe you have shithole mindset. Maybe you are a shithole. This is your residence. So you're a shithole. Now you're a shithole. And you should be a shithole. You have to give our shit so you put it in your role. Thank you so much. I'll take your questions now. Thank you, Carolyn Leavitt. Bassam, I turn to you for some closing remarks on this critical issue.
Folks, we are living in momentous times. For the first time since 1776, given we are coming up on Independence Day in 5 months minus 8 days, and certainly for the first time since the attacks of September the 11th, America is threatening the American way of life. That's a mindfuck. Take some time to process. Any other comments, folks?
Shit.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today for our third episode of our 48th season of ETI, Emergency Teachings. Apologies about the scatology. We're just trying to keep up. See you next time, right after we identify our next emergency. Assalamu alaikum and bonsoir.
You wanna move?
Let's try.